Tonight, back on the streets of London, Extinction Rebellion make their voices heard. Thousands marched on the first of 14 days of protests in the capital. Tonight, they are still out in Covent Garden. Good evening. Covent Garden has ground to a standstill as one of the busiest junctions is blocked by climate change protesters. Extinction Rebellion began 2 weeks of action in the capital this morning. A giant pink table was the centrepiece, with protesters and their families stopping traffic as they tried to make their voices heard. After a summer of extreme temperatures, fires and floods across the world, the protesters have a simple message that the government must act and act now. Our political correspondent Simon Harris is in Covent Garden for us. Simon, what's happening now?
Duncan, for 6 hours now, the Extinction Rebellion protest has been unable to move from Covent Garden. The activists are surrounded on all sides by lines of police. It's a tactic known as kettling, and it's designed to keep demonstrators in one place until they give up. Extinction Rebellion returned to the streets of London with another pink totem. Not a yacht this time, but an oversized table. The climate change protesters set up camp at the junction of 6 streets, bringing Covent Garden to a standstill. This was now a no-go area for traffic. In his day job, Pete Knapp is a scientist specialising in air quality. He's also an Extinction Rebellion activist.
We chose this spot because it's a place where the global eye is looking. We want this to be a wake-up call ahead of COP26, and you can see here that the number of people here, hopefully that message will get out around the world. That's what we're aiming for.
It's clearly been organised in absolute secrecy, and they have extraordinarily managed to block this junction with a massive, great big pink table. The police didn't know where they were going, what they were doing.
Keeping the police guessing was all part of the plan. To the constant beat of protest drums, the Extinction Rebellion supporters began day one of their action with a march from Trafalgar Square. They headed along Charing Cross Road, coming to a standstill at regular intervals. At Cambridge Circus, a handful of protesters used a banner to stop the traffic as the march changed direction.
We're preventing the traffic from coming through so that the march can go down this street.
You know, I appreciate they've got causes, but there's people that, you know, have got to do their jobs.
Before they set off, the marchers were told by one of Extinction Rebellion's founders they weren't a protest movement, but an active rebellion against the British government.
We feel that disruption is probably the only way to make the point of how serious the climate crisis is.
We feel, as older people, we really need to take a lead.
Do you regret the disruption you're causing to businesses?
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry we're causing disruption, but there's much greater disruption already happening around the world.
The question now was, how would the police respond? In 2019, when Extinction Rebellion closed Waterloo Bridge, the Met faced criticism for allowing it to happen. The tactic today was soon apparent: kettling. The police officers have been given a simple instruction: anyone who leaves won't be allowed back in. That means the protest can get smaller, but it can't get bigger. The lines of police blocking the streets took many protesters by surprise.
I tried to dash through, but they tried to stop me.
With the main body of the protest corralled in one place, it became a waiting game.
Simon, you were quizzing the organisers there about disruption. Just how much disruption is all of this causing then?
Well, no traffic could get into this part of Covent Garden, and quite a few surrounding streets have been closed. So that's bad news for the taxi trade and for the many businesses here which rely on deliveries. Now, Extinction Rebellion is threatening 2 weeks of action in London, and this is just day one. We don't know how long they're going to stay here in Covent Garden, but one thing is for certain: they're not going to be starved into submission. There's a pub, a couple of restaurants, a sandwich bar and a burger bar, all within the police kettle. Although I have to say that when I checked a few minutes ago, the queue for the toilets at Pret looked uncomfortably long.
OK, Simon, thank you.